The Baader-Meinhof phenomenon is the experience of learning about something for the first time and then suddenly noticing it repeatedly in everyday life. It is also known as the frequency illusion. A newly learned word, unfamiliar name, particular car model, or unusual idea may seem to appear everywhere shortly after it attracts your attention. Although this experience can feel surprising or even mysterious, the thing itself has usually not become more common. Instead, your awareness of it has changed. The phenomenon is closely connected with selective attention. Every day, people encounter enormous amounts of information through conversations, television, advertisements, social media, books, signs, and their surroundings. The brain cannot consciously focus on everything, so it filters information according to relevance and importance. Once you learn something new, however, that information becomes temporarily significant. Your attention becomes more sensitive to it, making you more likely to recognize it whenever it appears again. Confirmation bias also contributes to the effect. Confirmation bias is the tendency to notice, remember, and emphasize information that supports an existing belief or expectation. After noticing the newly learned thing several times, you may begin believing that it is appearing unusually often. Each new encounter seems to confirm your impression. Meanwhile, you rarely count all the situations in which the item does not appear, so your sense of its frequency becomes exaggerated. A simple example involves learning a new English word. Suppose you encounter the word meticulous for the first time and learn its meaning. The next day, you hear it on television. Later, you notice it in a newspaper article and then hear a friend use it. You might wonder why everyone has suddenly started using meticulous. In reality, you probably encountered the word previously, but because it had little meaning for you, your brain did not consciously register it. The unusual name of this phenomenon comes from an anecdote involving the Baader-Meinhof group, a West German militant organization active primarily during the 1970s. In 1994, a newspaper reader reportedly described learning about the group and then unexpectedly encountering another reference to it shortly afterward. Other readers shared similar experiences involving unrelated subjects. The expression Baader-Meinhof phenomenon consequently became associated with this psychological experience, although frequency illusion is the more descriptive scientific term. Recognizing this phenomenon can improve critical thinking. Personal observation alone does not necessarily demonstrate that something has become more popular, dangerous, fashionable, or widespread. If you suddenly notice more electric cars, particular illnesses, certain names, or specific news topics, increased attention may partly explain your impression. To determine whether a genuine increase has occurred, objective information such as statistics, historical records, surveys, or carefully collected data is generally more dependable than memory and casual observation. In conclusion, the Baader-Meinhof phenomenon describes the striking impression that something appears everywhere soon after we become aware of it. It mainly results from changes in attention and memory rather than a sudden change in reality. Selective attention helps us recognize newly relevant information, while confirmation bias reinforces our impression that its frequency has increased. Understanding this phenomenon demonstrates how strongly our expectations influence what we notice and remember. It also reminds us to distinguish between subjective impressions and measurable changes when evaluating coincidences, patterns, trends, and everyday experiences.